Welcome back, fellow football fanatics. It's College Football with Sam, and today we have on a very special guest. This is the first time that I am ever doing a player interview, so this means a lot to me. We have on Michigan linebacker and I believe sophomore or redshirt freshman, I forget, Jason Hewlett. Let's just start it off. And how are you doing? And how's your break?
I'm doing great right now on my break. I just been working out for real, getting better at the things. It's off season right now, so right now it's time to get better on the things you wasn't as good at last year and keep grinding, keep working.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really good. And you're coming off of a just as a team a very strong season. I myself as a Michigan fan really enjoyed the 15-0 national championship run. How did that feel? Be you're a true freshman and you didn't play, but you were on the sidelines, you were in the workouts, you were practicing with the team. How did that feel? Like that whole experience?
Feel great because we had a lot of older guys on the team, a lot of leaders, and them taking me under their wing and just learning. Just because you ain't get on the field your freshman year, that don't mean you can't get better mentally and physically. I just look up to the older guys, see what they did good, and try to model that in my game. And even the things they didn't do good, still try to monitor that and fix that so I can do good and put it in my game still. So just being able to come with these group of guys all year, 15-0, then beat Bama in the Rose Bowl, then go on to win a Natty, that means everything to me. That's something you dream of as a kid. So it's just great.
Yeah, that's really special and something that I imagine you'll probably remember for the rest of your life. I was there in Houston. Unfortunately, the staff at the stadium didn't let anyone get into the lower deck, so I couldn't get close to the field. But that was awesome just watching the game from hundreds of, feet in the air and seeing everything. Tell me about your high school recruiting process because obviously you're at Michigan now, but how did you get there? Like what offers did you get? Who recruited you? And I saw that you helped your high school go from being around 500 in record to earning 10 wins for the first time in like 2 decades. Take me through that if you could.
I think, well, my high school recruiting process started off fast. I got my first offers as a freshman from Kentucky, NC State, and other schools like that. But it slowed down my junior year because the first game of the season I ended up breaking my leg, so I didn't have no film from my whole junior year. I really ain't get this. I ain't get the Michigan offer till mid senior year when I had enough film to really put it out there again. But I was committed to Cincinnati at first. Then things happened. I decommitted from there. Then I committed to Michigan. But about the 10 win season, I think it's what happened my first 3 years that really molded me to my senior year. I feel like my first freshman and sophomore year, we had the guys, we had everybody to really push and make it to states, but we didn't do that because we missed out on a little bit of discipline. My freshman year in high school was the first year my school reopened and had a varsity football team. So we were starting over from scratch, everybody getting to know each other. And just that bond I had with the freshmen that year, just my class in general, we kept that bond and we all stayed together till our senior year. Then we got DJ Waller over from East to come play with us our senior year. But really, my motivation for a senior year, and I was telling the guys this all senior year, is like it can end. Like my first time ever getting seriously hurt and breaking a bone was my junior year. Like I said, first game of the season, first drive. So like just
Wow.
not being able, just not being able to play football for that long. Like I was telling the guys, like this can end easy whether you want it or not. So like senior year, we just came out and did what we were supposed to do. We had the talent, like I said. We just had to be disciplined and put it on the field.
Wow. So you were really a part of that whole like rebuilding process of that high school football team, and then your senior year it all came together, did well, got what I assume is like your best offer mid senior year, and then you committed to Michigan. How is high school football different from college football? I've never played the sport. That's primarily the reason why I'm asking.
Uh, One thing I can say, high school football is way different. Football is football at the end of the day. If you love the game, you're going to be able to play well. But the one thing that's totally different, college football is more mental than
Hmm.
physical. I mean, at high school, you can go out there and only know what you got to do and still be a good football team, still go out there and win some games. In college, you got to know what all 11 players are doing and move as one. And another thing is, I think, of course, it's more physical. The guys are a lot stronger. Everybody's playing for something. But at the end of the day, everybody's playing for something to go to the league in college. And some players on the team may have kids, even when they're freshmen and seniors. Some people might have families. Some people might be married. So, like, it's a whole different ball game. People is playing for more than just themselves and really trying to make it to the next level to give their family a better situation.
I see. Do you think that's why some players are like really good in high school and then sometimes making that jump into college, just because of all the different things that happen in life, and also the fact that, like you said, it's more mental, that just sometimes stuff happens. And
In college, I feel like a lot of players are not good in college because they can't take what the coaches are giving them. They take it as disrespect when they get yelled at, but you just got to process. My coaches always tell me, they say, always hear the message, not how the message is being said. Because at the end of the day, they're just pushing us to be better. And at the end of the day, if we don't perform on the field, at the end of the day, they're going to get fired. If we don't do what we're supposed to do in the field, they're going to get fired. We're feeding their families, they're feeding us, so it works both ways. At the end of the day. So we just got to push as one and hear the message and not how it's being said. And I think a lot of reason a lot of players don't be good in college is because it's just the mental aspect too. Because a lot of players I've seen throughout the years and even got to play with in high school, like they're more athletic than a lot of these guys that's playing on Saturdays. But if you don't got the playbook down and you ain't got your mental right, if the coaches don't trust you to go out there and be in that exact spot, it don't matter how fast, how athletic you is. If you're not in that exact spot, they can't put you out there.
okay, thank you very much for explaining that. I know that, just as kind of a little like off note, but A.D. Mitchell, for example, transferred from Georgia to Texas to play, I think primarily because he had a kid in Texas. So like that aspect you talked about of how people have families to provide for or are married, and yeah, it's different. So you were a freshman last year. You were coached by Jim Harbaugh and his whole staff. Your strength and conditioning coach was Ben Herbert, who is like forever a legend, at least in my book.
The
And
greatest.
the greatest. Yeah. He was the secret weapon of the program. Now, obviously, Sharon Moore's the head coach, and I think that he more than deserved that, given how he coached in those games where he filled in, beating Penn State, beating Ohio State, and giving Michigan some of their best offenses under Jim Harbaugh, and really working and building that O-line. He's the head coach. There are new coordinators. Martindale coaches the defense, and there are new defensive assistants. I think all the defensive assistants are new. Do you notice any difference between, the old regime and the new one? Is it more similar than different, or are there some key differences that you could educate me about?
Um, if y'all watch the spring game, of course the defense looked the same. They kept the same defense, tweaked a little bit of minors, but of course it's going to be different. It's different coaches. Everybody got different personalities. And Coach Jerome Moore is a great head coach. He's going to put his own twist on it. But of course, he learned from the best head coach too, and Coach Harbaugh. So like, I trust everything that's going on. I believe in the process, and I know the coach is going to make the right decisions at the end of the day. And of course, it's going to be different because it's a whole new staff, and sometimes difference is good. You don't. I mean, You gotta relate to your players, and we all believe in Coach Moore and the coaching staff he brought in. We know he ain't gonna bring in nobody that's gonna hurt us, so we all believe in him, and we're gonna make some things happen this year.
Awesome. You said you're going to make some things happen this year. That's a good attitude to have. Speaking of that, tell me about some players who are going to help make things happen this year. Are there any, breakout candidates you think on offense, defense?
Of course, we know about Will Johnson, Kenneth Grant, and Mason Graham and them guys, so I ain't even gonna mention the hard hitters, but I'm gonna say Enow. He's a D lineman. He was a freshman my year, redshirted. Our D lineman was so stacked last year. He played a little bit, then they redshirted him because he. I'm telling you, he's like 6'7", 290, but moves like fast like the DBs. Like he's gonna be great this year. We got this dude named Bradyn Hillman, safety, also in my class, hard hitting safety. We had a lot of depth at safety last year, so what I can say is we got a lot of young guys that was learning from a lot of older guys last year that's gonna be able to translate this year and maybe become even better. But I feel like our older guys last year, our veterans, they take us under their wing and they want us to be better than they was. They push us to be better than it was. Ain't no bumping heads, ain't no none of that. One thing I can say about Michigan, everybody wanted to see each other be great. Ain't no hard feelings between nobody. Ain't nothing of that. When somebody messing up, it don't matter if it's the best guy on the team or the last one getting in. Everybody go say something, and we ain't never gonna take it as disrespect. We just go push it and be better.
That's great. I know that Enow Etta, from what I read, he started out as an edge and then moved to that interior of the D line. He said he's 6'7" and nearly 300 pounds, but can move. That
Yeah.
kind of reminds me of like Kenneth Grant almost, like last year against Penn State. Tracking down a running back while weighing 300 pounds is pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
About the offense, since you scrimmage against them, what position group on offense stands out to you? Like, which one do you hate playing against just because they're that good?
Uh, Really, just the whole offense for real. Our offense is so diverse. Like one day they might air it out, one day they might run it. It just all depends. And with our quarterback room is stacked. Our line is good. Like we just got a lot of players everywhere for real. And our quarterback room is so gifted, especially Orgy and the guys like that. And they all push each other to be great. So it's like we know every practice we got to come out and be on our A game and try to kill those guys, and they're going to try to kill us. But it's all respect, just getting each other better at the end of the day. Because we know if we compete and bump heads at practice, it's going to be a lot easier in the game because our offense is going against the best defense in the country every practice. So, like, when the game comes, I'm not going to say it's going to be easier, but it's going to slow down the game because they're going against Will Johnson, Kenneth Grant, and those guys like that. So, it's going to slow the game down and make everybody better. But I just think we got a lot of young receivers too, like Fred Moore and Samaj Morgan. I think those guys are going to have a breakout season. Of course, we got the veterans and stuff like that, but it's just like a battle every day at practice. Like we don't want to lose to them, they don't want to lose to us, and that pushes us to be better. And the brotherhood is great.
That's incredible to hear, because from what I'm hearing from you, and you're actually inside the program, so it helps. I have, never gotten inside the doors of much of anything. Maybe one day, but right now, no. It sounds like the culture that you have and the push and the drive is incredible, because there are schools where they have talent or they have good coaches, but when push comes to shove and they go in a big road environment, or when they mess up, they slowly but surely unravel. And Michigan just hasn't been that way the previous 3 seasons, and it doesn't sound like it'll change much this year or in the future. I don't know if you're looking ahead to the schedule, probably not in the same way that I am, because you have practice, you have workouts. I don't, have any of that. But What's the one road environment? Because there are new teams coming into the Big Ten, regardless of whether they're new or old or even if it's a home game. What game are you like? Do you look at and you think, "Oh, I'm excited to play in this one"?
Of course, Ohio State, because we play them at their crib this year. I've never been there. I've been there one time, being recruited, but nothing major. But of course, Texas, but I don't look too far ahead. I never did, even in high school. I look at week one because we see it over 100 years of football. We see great teams get upset by teams they're not supposed to get upset by, and I believe that's because they're looking too far in the future. I mean, we can't get to week 10 without getting to week one. So I feel like I just look straight ahead. First game, second game, third game, then go off by that. But of course, Texas, Ohio State, Michigan State, and teams like that. Ohio State, like you don't beat Ohio State, the season is nothing for real. So just going out there and beat them guys every year is gonna be fun. But like I said, week one, that's what we worry about right now. Week one right now, and that's all that's getting my attention.
Absolutely. You got to beat Fresno State and you got to beat, smaller teams and you got to take them seriously before you can take on the big guys. I mean, I'm a Michigan fan. I actually go to the school. I'm lucky enough to be a student there, and my dad's a State fan, and he'll always bring up the App State game and occasionally make fun of me for it. Yeah, so that's a lesson in just as always week by week, little thing by little thing, and it builds up. I know I asked you about the players who can break out, position groups that you think are good. What about a specific like player? Maybe not one who's going to break out or who's like a Kenneth Grant or a Mason Graham, but who strikes you as like the hardest working or most improved player?
Most improved
Yeah.
player that I have watched throughout the spring is Koumba, the France. He's from Koumba. He work hard. Most improved. He been doing what he's supposed to do, and it been showing up on the field. I can name a lot of other guys, but he's the one that stick out like a sore thumb. And also Breon Ishmael, he's also in my class. He's he been doing what he's supposed to do too. He was hurt last year. He had to get shoulder surgery, so he's
Wow.
medical red shirt. So he's finally getting under himself, getting his legs back, getting back in shape, and it's been showing up on the field.
That's good to hear. Glad to hear he's recovering from that injury. Do you have any personal goals for this season? For the summer workouts?
Like I said, again, working on attention to detail. That's one thing. Getting better at everything I wasn't better good at last year. Of course, this last season was my first year ever playing linebacker because I played DB in high school. So just learning the ins and outs of linebackers and all the things like that. Because linebackers on defense is like quarterbacks on offense. You gotta know everything. You gotta know what everybody doing around you. You gotta know all the signs, the signals, everything like that. And you gotta also communicate. If you don't communicate, you can't be on the field. That's one thing I had to learn. That's one thing I'm still learning, still getting better at. So just communicating for myself and getting more physically stronger and faster like anybody else. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's a mental game at the end of the day. So I gotta learn how to use my voice to direct other people. If I see somebody lined up wrong, bump them over and stuff like that. Just becoming more of a vocal leader. And I say everybody on our team is a leader. And that's why we got that strong brotherhood as we do because everybody lead each other. Nobody want to see nobody do wrong, and we all discipline.
Those are all great things to hear and great qualities. I think that, you know, yeah, like what you said. Um, yeah, it's really interesting, like looking at Michigan and how young they are this year and how much they lost. They're in returning production and returning starters. They're near the bottom, but you're pretty confident. It feels like Michigan players overall are confident, and there's a whole lot to prove. And it sounds like you like being in that position with a
I
lot
feel
to
like
prove.
I feel like we lost a lot, but we also got a lot returning. We had so much depth last year that our backups could be starters anywhere else in the country. But we all chose to stay together and use it as one. Like I said, we got a lot of young guys and older guys. So like losing Mikey and guys like that, it hurt of course because they're great leaders and they're great people in the locker room. But like I said, they took so many younger guys under their wing to show them the Michigan way that we had. We confidence is key. I mean, we so confident because everybody think we lost a lot, but we also got a lot returning. If you look at that defense, everybody on that field played last year or got meaningful reps. So like we lost a lot. That's because I think we had the most depth in the country last year. That's why we was able to perform how we performed. And I think we got a lot of depth this year. We're going to perform the same way. That's why. Yeah, I got so much confidence in our guys because we push each other. We don't live off last year. When we won the Natty, we celebrated it for a week like anybody else would do. But when that week was up, like, all right, it's over. What we gonna do to win another one? So one thing I can say about us, we don't live off the past and our past accomplishments. We're trying to make more and put another banner in that arena and give Ann Arbor another national championship in Michigan. So we're not going to live off the past too much. Of course, we're going to celebrate it because, I mean, this is every kid's dream to win a national championship. But what can we do to win another one? We can't really think too far. I mean, we can't really live off the past because if you live off the past, you'll never do nothing in the future. So I think we're just motivated and we just want to do what we can to bring another one in that building.
Amen. 1 week at a time and bring it all the time. Yeah, Michigan was the deepest team in the country last year, and they have a lot of seniority this year from like what I do combing over the depth chart. A lot of the offensive line has seniors and juniors, and it's the same thing on the defense, and they weren't starting last year, but they contributed a lot to Michigan's success, and I know that Jim Harbaugh, especially in games against smaller opponents, when they were winning, he'd often put in a lot of young guys and get them to play. I would expect Sharon Moore to probably do something like that again this year when the opportunity arises. Is there anything else that you want to add? Anything that you want to tell me that I haven't inquired about?
Just stay tuned. I think it's going to be a great season. Well, I know it's going to be a great season. And we had a lot of doubters last year when Coach Harbaugh got suspended. Nobody believed in that. So the doubt only pushed us to be better. And we like the doubt. It's Michigan versus everybody. We had that on shirts. Like, as long as we good in the building, as long as we cool with each other, we don't really care what everybody else got to say.
That's great. And I, only say this because I run a channel where I make predictions. I agree. I do think that the people who expect Michigan to just kind of fall apart are wrong, and I don't think they've looked closely enough at the program. Well, thank you very much for coming on, Jason. You're always welcome to come back on when you're available if you want to. And that's all for today, everyone. Thanks again for coming on and giving your insight and your experience. It's all very critical. And we'll see you guys very soon. I'm going to try and get more player interviews with different players that I can. And hopefully we'll have Jason back on here. All right. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you all soon.